The Psychology of Money, Understanding Wealth, Greed, and Happiness. Imagine waking up one morning and discovering that the entire world had changed. Not because money vanished, but because people finally understood how money really works. Not the mathematics of finance, not the stock charts or formulas or investment theories, but the strange, emotional, deeply human psychology that drives every financial decision we ever make. That is exactly the world Morgan Housel tries to open for us in The Psychology of Money. And today you're about to walk into that world, where wealth is not defined by spreadsheets, but by behavior, where the richest person isn't the one who earns the most, but the one who learns how to control themselves. This is not a book about how to pick stocks or how to time the market. Instead, it is a book about you, about me, about every decision we make, from the moment we earn a dollar to the moment we spend our last one. It is a book about fear, greed, ego, luck, risk, patience, and the invisible forces that shape our financial lives far more than logic ever does. People think money is about numbers, but Morgan Housel shows us it is really about stories. Stories we tell ourselves and stories we inherit from others. To understand this, let's start with a story from the book. A man named Ronald James Reed was a janitor and a gas station worker, someone society never considered rich, never imagined as financially extraordinary. And yet, when he died at the age of 92, he left behind over $8 million. How? Not through a business, not through an invention, not through luck from a massive salary. He simply invested patiently and quietly for decades, living below his means and letting time do its work. On the other end of the financial universe was Richard Fusconi, a successful Merrill Lynch executive, a man who earned millions and lived in luxury. Yet he declared bankruptcy. Two men, two totally opposite outcomes, not because of intelligence, background, or education, but because of behavior. This contrast becomes the foundation of the psychology of money. The book teaches us that financial success is not about how smart you are, but how you behave. It tells us that behavior, your patience, your discipline, your self-control, your ability to manage emotions, matters far more than any technical knowledge. And that is why financial success is so rare. Not because people don't know what to do, but because they cannot control how they feel when things go up or down. Morgan Housel guides us into the idea that every person has their own unique story around money. How we were raised, what we saw growing up, whether our parents struggled or lived comfortably, all of this shapes how we think about saving, spending, risk, and reward. A person who grew up poor will think differently about opportunity compared to someone who has never known scarcity. Neither is right or wrong, but both carry their biases. And this is where most financial arguments come from. Different people with different histories trying to understand money through a single lens. The book reminds us that luck and risk walk hand in hand. We love to credit success to talent, but we forget the silent role of luck. Bill Gates became Bill Gates partly because he was brilliant, but also because he attended one of the only high schools in the world that had a computer, giving him access to something millions never had. On the flip side, the world is full of people who made smart choices but failed due to circumstances they could never control. So Morgan encourages us to be humble in success and forgiving in failure. Nothing in finance is purely black or white. Outcomes are messy, and life is unpredictable. As we move deeper into the story of money psychology, the book stresses one of the most powerful financial truths. Getting wealthy is easier than staying wealthy. Anyone can make money once, twice, or even for a few years. But staying wealthy means resisting temptation, avoiding unnecessary risks, and understanding that money must be protected, not just multiplied. Staying wealthy requires fear, a healthy fear of losing what you have. It requires humility, because overconfidence destroys fortunes faster than bad luck ever could. Morgan Housel says the key to staying rich is combining optimism about the future with paranoia about the short term. Then we enter one of the most beautiful lessons of the entire book, the power of compounding. People underestimate compounding because it grows slowly at the beginning, almost invisibly, until it suddenly becomes unstoppable. Warren Buffett is the perfect example. Most people forget he made almost 90% of his wealth after the age of 65. It wasn't magic, it was patience. The real magic wasn't his intelligence. It was his ability to stay invested longer than anyone else. That is why compounding is more of a psychological challenge than a financial one. You need patience, faith, and consistency even when you see little progress in the beginning. Next, the book explores a question we rarely ask. What is enough? Morgan explains that the inability to say enough is the most dangerous financial trap. Many people don't go broke because they have little. They go broke because they always want more. More money, more status, more recognition. But the world of more never ends. If you do not define what enough means for you, you will chase endlessly and eventually make reckless decisions. The book shows us that real wealth is not about limitless accumulation. Real wealth is freedom, the ability to wake up and decide how you want to spend your day. As the script continues, imagine the sound of soft, background cinematic music rising as we shift into the emotional heart of the book. The confrontation between happiness and money. Morgan Housel reveals that money's greatest value is not in buying things, but in giving you control over your time. Time is the real currency. People do not want to be rich as much as they want to be free. They want the freedom to say no, to stop working if they want, to spend time with family, to pursue something meaningful. Money helps you achieve that freedom, but only if you understand happiness is tied to control, not consumption. The book then explores why we should save money not for a specific reason, but for reasons we can't predict. Life surprises us more often than we expect. Emergencies come without warning. Opportunities appear when we least expect them. Saving money creates a buffer between you and the unknown. It gives you stability, it gives you dignity, it gives you options. And options are one of the most underrated forms of wealth. Morgan emphasizes that people often judge others' financial decisions without understanding their background or goals. Some people invest aggressively because they have nothing to lose. Others invest carefully because they want to protect what they have earned. Understanding that each person operates from their own psychology, shaped by their past, helps us stop comparing ourselves to others. Comparison is a thief of joy, especially in money. The rich person is not the one who has everything. The rich person is the one who is content. As the script continues, imagine the camera panning across stories of real people. Those who saved diligently for decades. Those who gambled everything on risky bets. Those who rose from nothing. And those who fell from extraordinary heights. The book's message becomes clear. Money amplifies who you are. If you are kind, money makes you kinder. If you are reckless, money makes you more reckless. Money does not change personality, it exposes it. Morgan Housel then brings us into the concept of realistic financial planning. Humans love certainty, but the world of money is uncertain. Markets rise and fall, economies boom and crash, predictions fail, experts get things wrong. That is why instead of planning with perfect precision, we must plan with flexibility. A good plan is not one that is accurate, it is one that is adaptable. As we approach the deeper psychology of wealth, the book reminds us that no one is crazy when it comes to money. Everyone is doing the best they can with the information they have, with the experiences they've lived, and with the emotions they feel. Some people avoid investing because they saw their parents lose everything in a recession. Others jump into risky ventures because they grew up watching people around them strike gold. Our money stories are not rational, they are emotional. And that is why understanding your own psychology is more important than understanding the stock market. The story continues with another powerful insight. The most important financial skill is simply living below your means. The gap between what you earn and what you spend is the space where wealth is created. Not your salary, not your job title, not your business revenue, the gap. If that gap is wide, you have power. If that gap is narrow, you have stress. Wealth is hidden. Wealth is in the money you don't spend. Because money saved is money that can grow. Finally, the book ends with a message that echoes long after the last page. Money is a tool for building a life that feels meaningful. But meaning comes from relationships, purpose, health, and inner peace, not from material possessions. Money cannot solve emotional emptiness. Money cannot repair broken relationships. Money cannot replace self-respect. But money can support all the things that truly matter when handled wisely. So as we close this chapter of the psychology of money, imagine a future where you no longer chase wealth blindly. A future where you save consistently, invest patiently, spend thoughtfully, and live intentionally. A future where you understand that the world will always change, markets will always swing, but your financial life will stay steady because your psychology, your behavior, your mindset is strong. This book does not teach you how to get rich quickly. It teaches you something far more powerful: how to build a financial life that is stable, peaceful, meaningful, and aligned with who you truly are. It teaches you that money is not a math problem, it is a mind problem. And once you learn how your mind interacts with money, you gain the ultimate advantage: freedom. And so as the screen fades to black and the music softens, remember the message of the psychology of money. You do not need to be brilliant to succeed financially. You only need to be wise. Wealth is not built through intensity, but consistency. Real riches lie not in what you show the world, but in what you quietly grow over time. And the greatest return you can ever earn is a life where you are in control of your time, your choices, and your future. And subscribe this channel for get more video like this.